by tradition, he would have been expected to wed only his older sister, Visenya. The inclusion of Rhaenys as a second wife was unusual, though not without precedents. It was said by some that Aegon wed Visenya out of duty and Rhaenys out of desire. Fire and Blood, Aegon's Conquest. As is well known, King Aegon Targaryen married both of his sisters, Rhaenys and Visenya, supposedly Rhaenys for love, Visenya for duty. But these queens were dragon riders, and the blood of old Valyria, with silver gold hair, purple eyes, and the beauty of a true Targaryen. But in most other matters, from personality to politics, the two queens were unlike each other as any two women could be, save for in one respect. Each queen gave Aegon a single son. The king's eldest son was born in 7 AC to his younger sister, Rhaenys. It was said that Prince Aenys was small and somewhat sickly at birth, crying all the time. One maester noted that his limbs seemed especially spindly, his eyes small and watery, and that the other maesters at court feared the boy would not be long for the world. He was also fussy. He refused the breast of several wet nurses and would exclusively feed from his mother, Rhaenys. When it came time to wean the babe, it was said he screamed to the seven hells for the best part of 2 weeks. So unlike King Aegon was this babe, that few even dared to suggest that Aegon was not the boy's true father, that Aenys was in fact some bastard, born of one of Queen Rhaenys' many handsome favourites, the son of some singer or mummer or mime. But the truth is, there's little to no tangible evidence of this whatsoever, with some of these claims even coming retroactively during the Faith Militant Uprising decades later, as a way to perhaps discredit Aenys. The biggest concern at court, however, was the slow growth of the prince. It was not until he was given a young dragon hatchling, Quicksilver, born the same year as Aenys, that the prince began to truly thrive. I am descended from Aegon and Rhaenys through their son Aenys and their grandson Jaehaerys, Daenerys Targaryen to Jorah Mormont, A Clash of Kings chapter 63. Daenerys 5. Prince Aenys was only 3 years of age when his mother, Queen Rhaenys, and her dragon Meraxes were slain in the skies above the seat of House Ulla, Hellholt, in Dorne during the First Dornish War, thanks to a fluke scorpion bolt hitting Meraxes in the eye. Not only did Rhaenys' death spark the dragon's wrath over Dorne, where thousands of Dornishmen were burned by Aegon and Visenya, but her death also left the boy prince inconsolable. He stopped eating, and even began to crawl, as he had done as a babe. His father despaired of him, and rumours flew about the court that King Aegon might take another wife, as his beloved Rhaenys was dead, and Visenya childless, and perhaps even barren. The king kept his own mind on these matters, however, so no man could say what thoughts he may or may not have entertained. But many great lords and noble knights appeared at court with their maiden daughters, each more beautiful than the last. All the speculation was put to bed in 11 AC, when Queen Visenya suddenly, to the surprise and joy of all, announced she was carrying the king's child, a son, she proclaimed confidently, and so he proved to be. The prince came squalling into the world in 12 AC. No newborn babe was ever more robust and strong as Maegor Targaryen. All the maesters and the midwives agreed. His weight at birth was almost twice that of Aenys. In many ways, even as a babe, Maegor was everything his elder brother was not, for good and ill. Brother, you need never kneel to me again. We shall rule this realm together, you and I. You are more fit to bear this blade than me. Wield it in my service, and I shall be content. King Aenys Targaryen to Maegor, Fire and Blood, the sons of the dragon. The reality was that the half-brothers were never that close as children. Some like to argue this was due to the age gap, but the reality of it is, it was not really that big of an age gap. The truth is a lot more complicated. Prince Aenys was the heir apparent as his father's eldest son, and thus King Aegon kept him close by his side at all times to teach his heir the ways of kingship and ruling the kingdom that would one day be his. As the king moved about the realm, from castle to castle on his often long royal progresses, so did Aenys, a shadow at his father's side. All the while, Prince Maegor remained with his mother Visenya, at her side when she held court, while Aegon was away somewhere in the kingdom, as Visenya and Aegon were often apart during these years. When he was not on royal progress, Aegon would return to King's Landing and the smoky Aegon Fort, whilst Visenya and Maegor remained on Dragonstone, the seat that both Visenya and Aegon preferred, and very much saw as home. It was for this reason lords and commons alike began to refer to Maegor as the Prince of Dragonstone to differentiate him from his elder brother. Queen Visenya put a sword in her son's hand when he was only 3 years old. Out of the 3 heads of the dragon, Visenya had always been the keenest warrior. Thus it makes sense her son would follow in that direction. Supposedly, the first thing he did with the blade was butcher one of the castle cats, though more like than not, this tale was devised by his enemies many years later, which is often the case with a lot of the more extreme tales of the early Targaryen Westeros. A game of revisionism. The prince took to swordplay at once, which cannot be denied. For his first master-at-arms, his mother had chosen Sir Gwen Corbray, a deadly knight as could be found in all of the 7 kingdoms, a man who in turn would mould the young prince into an even deadlier warrior. Prince Aenys was so often in his father's company that his own instruction in the chivalric arts, swordplay, and the such, came largely from the knights of Aegon's Kingsguard, and on occasion, sometimes the king himself. Aenys was diligent, all of his instructors agreed, and did not want for courage, always putting all the effort he could muster, which is an admirable trait. But the harsh truth is Aenys Targaryen was never built to be a warrior. He lacked his father's size and strength, and was never more than just an adequate fighter. He could defend himself well enough, even press an attack, but in a real duel or a combat situation with live steel, even an average swordsman would likely have bested the prince. Even when the king pressed Blackfire, the sword of kings, into his hand, as he did from time to time, Aenys could still not improve his limited skills. Aenys would not disgrace himself if found in a battle. His tutors agreed, but no songs would ever be sung of his prowess. But not all men are fighters, and it's apparent that Prince Aenys had gifts that lay elsewhere, skills just as valuable as being a warrior, depending on who you ask. Aenys was a fine singer himself, with a strong, sweet voice. He was courteous and charming, clever without being too bookish. He made friends easily, and young girls seemed to dote on him, be they high-born or low. Aenys loved to ride as well. His father gave him countless horses and desaries, but his most beloved mount of all was his dragon, Quicksilver. The prince was the definition of charm and charisma, both skills that are just as important as swordplay when it came to ruling a kingdom. Some might even argue they were in fact more important. Prince Maegor, on the other hand, rode just as well as his brother, but showed no great love for horses, dogs, or frankly any animal. When he was 8, a palfrey kicked him in the stables. Maegor stabbed the horse to death and slashed half the face off the stable boy who came running to the beast's screams. Or, again, that's what many of the tales told later would say. We can never really attest to their truthfulness or validity. The Prince of Dragonstone had many companions throughout the years, but no true friends. He was a quarrelsome boy, quick to take offence, slow to forgive, and fearsome in his wrath. Not attributes to encourage bonds of friendship and love. His skills with weapons were indeed unmatched, however. He was the exact opposite of his brother in that respect. He became a squire at 8. He was unhorsing boys 4 or 5 years his elder in the lists by the age of 12, and battering seasoned men-at-arms into submission in the castle yard. He became such a skilled warrior on his 13th name day in 25 AC. Queen Visenya bestowed her own Valyrian steel blade, Dark Sister, upon her son as recognition of his skill at arms. Aenys and Maegor Targaryen were brothers, both the blood of Aegon the Conqueror, but never had there been two brothers so different from one another in so many aspects, differences that would in time come to define the actions and the legacies in the history of House Targaryen.